ba 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 Bobberin. Ba 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 Bobberin.
Bobberin.
Hey, that was good. I think we had it. Also, I wanted to do Come and Knock on Our Door. We've been waiting for you. Where the kisses are hers and his. For's company too.
Oh,
Because
I was
it's
like,
topical.
I could not figure out where this was going. I don't think I actually knew the entirety of the Force Company theme song.
I didn't either.
It's
and
actually
so I was
Three's
like,
Company.
This is okay.
And then I added an extra
clearly
his
we can establish
to
how
make
much
it
I
four.
know.
Because we got multiple
That was
guests on.
quick. Or have you been like methodically thinking about this?
Oh, I thought about it last night. This is the You're My Friend and I Trust You podcast. Normally it's just Pudge and I.
Which is me.
And I'm the I of that. Mm-hmm. But now we have two guests. My beautiful fiance, Emily.
Hello.
My beautiful wife, Allie.
I think you forgot my name real quick.
I did not.
There was
Long
a pause.
pause.
No, there was a long pause.
Which one is it? What is her name?
Which wife is this?
Which wife is
I think this week it should be called You're My Wife and I Trust You.
I cannot tell you how much I love that. Okay, I think.
Well, you guys could do a spin-off podcast.
Well, but
We're
we're
the
not each
wives.
other's wives.
We're worth.
We're the wives.
Oh,
And
there
And
we
we're
go.
trustworthy.
We were talking on the way here because Allie was texting a group chat saying that there was a parade going on and a road was closed, so I had to take a detour. But in my phone, my contact for Emily is still Emily Girlfriend. And she was like, "Are you ever going to change that?" I was like, "You know what? Probably not, because I think it'd be funny if I was 50 and like my phone's just sitting out and she texts me and somebody who doesn't know me very well who is this? I thought you were married."
Well, isn't it becoming ex-girlfriend?
Yeah, she's ex-girlfriend right now.
You should never say that, in my opinion.
I agree.
I just I think honestly, ex-girlfriend or ex anything has like a really negative connotation, and
That's why I say it, because it's
I know,
it's
but
counterculture and it's funny.
I get the humor of it.
It's
but
progressive comedy, is what it is.
So what are we supposed to talk about?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It just
you were
kinda
leading
comes
into
up.
something. Okay.
I was trying to come up with something.
No show notes.
Yeah, no show notes. We don't ever plan for this podcast. I guess something I wanted to talk about, whether you guys were here or not, was I saw that you have been running.
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you run every day this week, or how much did you run? Pudge?
No. So I'm doing the Couch to 5K program.
What is Couch to 5K?
So it's this
And are you freaking doing a 5K without me?
I don't have anything planned. This just happened this week, man.
I'll do it with you.
So it's an app that you turn it on basically when you start running, and it's made to, it's 8 weeks. So at the 8th week, you're running a 5K.
Oh, okay.
And so it builds you up. It's designed to take you from literally the couch to running a 5K. So the first week you run 3 days, out of the week, and it's a half hour, but it's like split in intervals.
Okay.
And so you can have your music playing and then that app running, and you'll hear like a ding, and it'll say begin running now.
Gotcha.
And then you run, and then it'll ding, begin walking now. Then you walk. And so
Gotcha.
it's designed to kind of build you up that way. And so it's been good.
Nice.
It's really sucked the first day. The first day was the worst.
Yeah.
Second day, I've been keeping notes in my phone about how what I feel while I run. The first one was barely got through each interval, barely breathing by the end of it. Yeah. And then the second time I went out, it was fine. I got through each one.
Yeah.
But they said, you're going to feel good, but don't just stay with the program. Don't go more, because if you really did come from the couch to running a 5K,
right,
you will hurt something and then it'll be done. So
Yeah.
I'm I can do that.
Nice. Because I had been running for a while, and I noticed the same thing where the first time I ran, it was just pain, and my lungs were on fire, and I thought I was going to throw up. But then I'd been doing it for 3 weeks, and by the third week, I was really good. I was keeping pace and could go for a little bit, but my body was just so beat up. I hurt my ankle. I ran for Emily's going over here like
It was
1
like
week.
4 days.
My favorite thing. She's like,
was not. It was
I'm not
more.
going to say it out loud, is essentially what she's
wasn't-
insinuating because she's a very kind person.
You didn't know because I wasn't bragging about it all the time. I kept it to myself.
Oh, every time you would come see me after work, you'd be like, I ran today.
And I did that for like a month.
I ran today. No, it was maybe 4 or 5 separate occasions.
Well,
so maybe
we'll
over
agree
the course of 2 weeks.
We'll agree to disagree on that one. But now I've been swimming. I wake up every morning and that lake, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, I almost died. I almost drowned in a lake because my friend's buddy or my buddy's parents live on a lake. And if you look out their back dock, there's an island. Maybe we guesstimate like from the dock to the island and back, it's maybe a half mile or 3/4 of a mile. And we were out swimming. And we were like, we can swim to this island. And I almost drowned the first time. But now I wake up every morning and me and my friend, we go to the island and we go back. And that's what I've been doing. And it's been fantastic. I love it. I feel great. I haven't lost any weight yet, but I'm hoping it'll come off soon.
Yeah.
But I feel really great. I don't know if you've reached that point yet where you're feeling good, like throughout the day.
Yeah, well, I do mine after work, because like I would like to get to the point where I do it before work, but I just hate mornings, so I don't wake up in time to do it. So I do it right after work, but then the rest of the night and even into the next day, like I just feel clearer and better, and it's good to sweat. Yeah, Donnie's got a real strong grimace face going on with his hot coffee.
I burnt my mouth.
He's got bad joints, got bad mouth.
Bad breath now that I'm drinking coffee. So what's been going on in the lives of Pudge and Allie recently? You're rekindling your marriage.
I didn't know it needed kindled.
After Pudge has now come into a new position job-wise, you're able to do more stuff together. And
That's true. We've heard like my view on everything.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about it on the podcast, but your observations.
How's life?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, I think we're, it's been a good transition for us. I wouldn't say like we genuinely loved our life priors. So it's not that was like bad or anything, but I think just the general being more so on the same schedule. I actually bumped up like half an hour. Like I go in half an hour earlier but also leave half an hour earlier at work. And I think, granted, I have a really short commute, which is nice, but that in and of itself has been just super beneficial. In the fact that like, since his schedule is more traditional now and so is mine. And it's just been, I think just really good to see each other a little bit more. Cause then like, as an example, on the weekends or on the weeknights, this sounds really dumb, but like, they don't feel as like, okay, we have like 2 or 3 nights and like, that's it. Or like on Saturday night, typically we didn't want to do anything because he had to work the next morning, just like anyone on a traditional schedule would feel on a Sunday night when they had to work the next morning on a Monday. And so I think, honestly, it's felt like we had more time. I know Jordyn keeps saying it feels like it's like forever a long weekend. But anyway, so I think that's been huge. And I think we've just been, granted, I think it's also the season, but we've just been doing a lot more. Like we live in Ohio, as really anyone who listens to this podcast knows way more information about where we live. Probably a little bit too much for my comfort. But anyway, but one of
social security number,
Where his guns are, he's not happy about.
But one of, in my opinion, one of the coolest things about Ohio is that we have ridiculously cool metro parks. So like Cleveland-ish area, but just really like Northeast Ohio and probably beyond. I think that's one of the best things about Ohio. And so we've really been enjoying those lately, like Cuyahoga Valley, but also like more local ones to us. And I think and I don't necessarily know if that's in relation to the job change or not, but I feel like Jordyn's been wanting to pursue or just been more intentional about like pursuing like your photography and stuff like that. And I feel like that is something that you've always enjoyed. But I think when you just have more energy and you're in, a position or a spot that you feel like is a good fit for you. I think regardless of what career you're in, it doesn't matter if it's in ministry or if it's in a more traditional field. If you like it isn't a great fit, then it will naturally drain you and it will be more stressful and all of that, like regardless of what the actual job is and what it entails. And so I think that's just been really nice. And I mean, I think just seeing, I don't know what he's like in a different job. because I mean, for the entirety of our relationship, and literally since I've known that he even existed, he has been in that role. And so it's just been kind of cool to get to know him a little bit in like that respect. So
Yeah, you've never known non-church worker Pudge.
nope.
He's just a normal guy now.
I know he's just a normal guy. So
No
it's
longer
been,
blessed.
No longer favored.
but no, it's been a really good season so far. So we'll see what that looks like, and we'll get in our new normal hopefully in this fall, which is actually really good timing, and it's all very like metaphorical, if you will, as the literal seasons change outside, the seasons within our life change a little bit too. So
You're going to make me freaking cry over it.
you're welcome. I bring a lot of emotion to the podcast.
He actually is.
A little bit.
Aww.
Just a touch.
He cries really
I'm just
easy.
really happy for you guys.
Well, it's this week. Well, I guess when you listen to this podcast, it would have been over. But this weekend is the last weekend of that church commitment of leading worship.
Yeah.
And so
Literally tomorrow.
tomorrow,
How are you feeling?
about the event itself,
Not about the event, because it's a big event, and I know you're probably stressed about it.
I've been dreading it all summer, honestly.
But just about, because are you going to play at all on the worship team after this?
I have no plans to.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to.
Yeah.
But how are you with, like, this is the final?
I think I'm good. I mean, obviously, like I'll miss the team the most. And that was like kind of, I think going into the whole decision process, like that was always like the thing that if there was anything that would hold me up, it was that. Like, I don't want to, and really, I guess part of the reason why I said, okay, even I've led very little this summer, like Emily's done most of it, but even probably why I said yes to doing that was just because of the team. Like, because even though we knew that I was going to leave back in February, like to them, it was like 1 week I told them, and then I was going to be gone, and like that didn't seem fair. And then I also like I do like them genuinely, so so I don't know. I mean, I think I'm good. Like, I think I've processed it over the last couple months. Obviously, it'll still be sad, but
Right.
yeah.
I think to a degree, and I mean, I know that obviously, like this is just from an outsider perspective looking in, but like you said, I mean, I feel like those are people that you have relationships even outside of the church,
Yeah.
like that specific church, and so I think it's just cool that, and I think like that's the case with a lot of relationships, like. These are people that you don't like you talk to outside of a Sunday or morning or whenever, you know, your church convenes. So I think it's just been cool to see and know that we'll have to be more intentional, but those are relationships that you'll still have. And it's just like with any relationship, you just make an effort. So
Yeah. I've been noticing that last thing you said about making an effort in relationships. I've been noticing that in my life because we're sending out wedding invitations. And there's people that I have been friends with in the past that I'd for sure want to invite, and I would feel bad not inviting. But like one of them I haven't talked to like in a year. So I'm actually calling him today. We're going to talk on the phone because like we both made a point. Like we put it in our calendar like 2 weeks ago. Like we're going to call and we're going to catch up because I had to ask him for his address. And just that text, I was like, dude, I haven't talked to you in forever. And I'm sorry, that's on me for not pursuing that.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this podcast and you didn't get an invitation, they're out, and you just didn't get one. So I'm
Now
sorry.
you know.
Now you know. We couldn't invite everybody. Did you guys go through that of feeling kind of bad for like, well,
Oh yeah. And I think I've talked to you a little bit about it, like kind of that. I looked at it like in circles and like as you go out,
like
if I invite this person, well, they're kind of in this circle, so then I need to invite that whole circle.
Yep.
And then like working at a church kind of complicated things because it's like, well, I got to invite all the elders who I don't ever talk to, but
right. And then in that situation specifically, you lose a lot of space very quickly, like for other people that are outside of the church.
right. And I know, I had a conversation with my sister about like the expectations my mom had of inviting like my second aunt, great aunt or whatever,
Right.
that I have never talked to in my life, but felt like she needed an invitation. Like I didn't feel it. My mom thought that she needed an invitation. And so I was talking to my older sister who had a wedding and went through all of it. She's like, you just have to remember it's your wedding. It's who you want there. Like not what anybody else wants. Like you it's your special day. And it's the people you want to choose to spend it with. And don't feel like you have to invite people you don't know just because of out of obligation.
Yeah.
Which is hard. I mean, and we still invite people out of obligation probably. But
I feel like we were pretty good with that for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous because we actually did make a point to be like, okay, unless we really do want them there or like they really do need to be there, we're not even going to put them on the list. And then after we made that list, we went back through and crossed more names off that list, and we still invited almost 200 people.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And yeah, like I think there's the people that, and you guys kind of hinted at this, but it's like you have enough of a connection that you're like, this could be very awkward. But at the same time, like it literally makes you want to be like to any friends who are getting engaged or anything like that. Like it makes you literally want to tell them like, do not feel pressured to invite me to your wedding. Like you can elope, like as far as I'm concerned, like, or if you have an intimate wedding, like it makes me literally want to say like, don't feel like you have to put me on the list. Like, not that I don't want to be there and share that with you guys, but like you'll have a relationship with them beyond their wedding day. And it's because, we've all, at this point, we've all been there. It is so, like, I mean, there are obviously a lot of stressful aspects of planning a wedding, but one of the biggest things I feel like is the guest list, because it's just in relation to other people's expectations, some of which we don't even know. So I think we overanalyze.
Yeah.
It's so stressful though.
Yeah.
So props. Like that's done. That's great. Good for you guys.
More people, more presents.
More money. If you're coming to our wedding, drop us some cash.
If you're coming to our wedding, we are registered at Bed Bath & Beyond, and Emily would not let me put a poop emoji plunger
No, I would not.
on the guest list, but please, I think I already have 5 people that have committed.
Do not get one.
If I can get as many of those as possible, I think it'd be amazing. So please get me a poop emoji plunger.
Funny story. And yes, I totally support that.
Thank you.
The coffee mug that you're drinking out of,
Yeah. Star Wars mug.
was a wedding gift because I snuck it on I guess I didn't really sneak it, but I put it on the registry as we were registering.
Nice.
Not expecting to get it. I'm pretty sure.
Somebody got it for you.
Was it?
It was Beth.
Yeah.
The thing
Oh, that makes total sense that Beth would get that for you.
No, it was a good gift.
We put one of those, we put 2 things that I really, really want that are complete non-needs. It's just wants. But one of them is one of those newer Polaroid cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think would be amazing.
That'd be cool.
Really fun.
My favorite picture of us is at our friend's wedding. They had a Polaroid camera, and you took a picture and then put it into a scrapbook. So they would have that.
That is so
But
sweet.
we took 2.
Oh, I love
We were only
that.
supposed to take 1, and it was supposed to be for them, but
Yeah,
we
we
took
took
2
2.
because it's like, this is too cool not to have one. And I have it in my wallet, and it's the best thing. But
Really cool.
another thing was one of those Nest home security cameras, like the doorbell cameras.
I want one of those. So
That's
bad.
mostly
Me
for
too.
me.
That's on our, like,
I'm scared of people killing me.
sorry. I just was processing that part. And that's one of our, I don't want to say must-haves, but like high on our list of like things that we'll budget for when we get a house. Like we buy a house along with like redoing a bathroom or like important stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what was your wedding registry experience like?
Okay, it was different from yours because you had warned us, because you guys also registered at Bed Bath & Beyond.
But here's the thing. Going into it, he was like, Jordyn and Allie said that they give you a salesperson to go around with you, and it's awful. So when we go in there,
Consultant, I think.
yeah,
Wedding
we're
consultant.
not going to get a
I was
consultant.
so adamant about it because it took
But-
you guys like 4 hours, right?
But here's the thing. He is non-confrontational. So I was the one. No, I was the one who was like, we don't need a person. Just give us the thing. We're going to go by ourselves. Just leave us
Beforehand,
alone.
I was like,
and
you
he
need
was
to make
just
sure
like
that we don't get this.
sitting there smiling. and I handled it.
Did you guys register for, it's one of the things that I felt like the most pressure for from the consultant to register for was like the fine china set.
No way.
And they're like, you can use this every day. Cause like it was supposed to like last, like it was supposed to be made where you could use it every day. And like we registered for it because I felt so much pressure. And then when we got it, I remember us having the conversation about, because I was like, should we keep it? Like, should we return it? Like, because I think someone else had gotten us like traditional, just like set that comes with everything of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 place settings. And Jordyn, and it was a really good qualifier because I don't really know the right word for who I am. I'm a little bit like neurotic. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but like, I don't like germs. Like, I don't want like the thought of something breaking or anyone being careless with something. And like, I don't know, I'm working on that. But anyway, but his question was, if one of our nieces or nephews, which we have 4, and they're all young, if one of them were over and they were eating off this plate and it broke, like, would you be really upset? And I was like, yes, I would. And he's like, all right, well then we need to get, and so it was just nice though, because like we've got the plates, honestly, it was really, okay, you don't remember it.
That
you don't remember it, but it was one of those moments where I'm like, I married such a wise man, which he doesn't remember.
The church.
But like,
it's gone.
Like the set that we have isn't like the nicest or anything, but it has like lasted for what we needed it to. It's chipped a little bit, but honestly, I'm glad 1,000 times over that we kept that one. And I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that have gotten like nice china and it works for them and they're not crazy like me. But it's just like stuff like that. I feel like you don't know. Like, and yeah, this person's like insisting on you getting it. It was so much pressure.
I would have really hated that because I really enjoyed like us going around and like, oh, this would be so cool. And like you're imagining like, oh, like our new place and like we're putting all this stuff together and we're building a home together. But I don't remember any of the china sets. I remember like the plate sets, but I don't remember any looking at fine china.
It's towards the front, I think.
Okay.
So it's like it's in a separate area from the
We just got a set of plates that are, I think they're non-breakable.
The Corel, I think.
Yeah,
I totally creeped on your registry because I was like, do we want to do a registered gift? Do we want to do something?
Yeah, they're Corel. But I found that it was so difficult for Donnie because he doesn't like to be selfish or like needy. And so we would go around and be like, we only need 1 pillow, right? And I was like, what? No. I need like 4 pillows for myself.
We'll put our heads on the same pillow.
Yes.
Can I explain myself? Okay. The pillow situation. Let me just explain myself. I just bought 2 brand new Beckham series hotel collection pillows. They're like the hotels that you would get in a hotel that are really thick and heavy, and I love them. They're great. I have 2 of those. He
bought them off of Amazon.
I bought them off of Amazon. They came in like the vacuum sealed bags, so nice and flat. One of them I haven't even opened yet. It's still all flat in the bag. The other one I only use 1 pillow. She already has like 8 pillows. 4 pillows.
I have 4 pillows. 2 of them need to be thrown away, and the other 2 like probably have a year left in
We
them.
don't need pillows right now, is my thought.
Here's the thing, though, and this is the one thing that the consultant told us that like was very helpful. Is I don't remember exactly his words, but his point was basically there's one time in your life when people want to get you something really nice, and want like it's kind of the start, and it's your wedding, and so like if there's ever a time to ask for stuff, it's then because people genuinely want to do something for you.
And I think part of what he was alluding to along with that was he was talking about like, okay, like, are you guys moving into an apartment? We're like, yeah, we're moving into an apartment. And he's like, okay. He's like, long term. He's like, 10 years from now, 5 years from now. He's like, do you plan to still be in that apartment? And we're like, no. And so he was like, he literally like, it was a really weird conversation, but basically he pulled it out of us to figure out, okay, like what sort of house do we want someday? Like how many beds will it have? How many baths? Like how many kids are we going to most likely have? Like all of that, those questions. So we built it up. It was actually, he did a phenomenal job. But at the end, he was like, okay, so you're going to have a 4-bed house with 2 bathrooms. He's like, so you're going to need at least, this many pillows, this many towels and all of that. And so at the time, it was like, I don't know how many kids we're going to have. Like I just, but it was good to make us think it through. And you guys do whatever works for you. But I would agree. That was some of the best piece of advice that we got from that conversation.
That is funny though, because if you guys would have planned your registry based off of where you were living, you would have gotten like 3 things. And that's all that would have fit.
And they all would have been like miniature.
Yeah, our first apartment was an attic space.
There was hardly room for one.
The rent was so
It was
cheap,
perfect.
though.
And honestly, the season that we were in, when you were still in
it was
school,
perfect.
only working part-time, it was awesome. But
I will say, though, the advice about, like, this is the one time in your life, you had given us that as well before we went in, and we did buy the super expensive sheets. Not the most expensive sheets, because they were like $5,000.
oh boy.
But here's the thing. I
Thought we were good on sheets.
Yes, yeah. We're great on sheets. But we didn't buy them. We're putting them on a registry. So that was my argument, is like, we can put as much stuff on here as we want because we're not making anyone buy this stuff. Yeah. And if we don't get it, that's fine. But just putting it on the registry is harmless. Because maybe we get it and maybe we don't. And that's fine.
Exactly. Well, and like different price points. Like,
I think what we did was we put like what we would love, like the most expensive sheets, but then like more of a realistic one that like someone still more than what we would probably buy for ourselves, but like
I don't even know if we did that. I think we gave one option.
We did, yeah.
The fancy sheets.
Yep. And they're king
that's
size.
not that, I don't want anything.
but well, and I mean, like we did this, like if something ends up not working, or you just like for your situation, or like maybe you guys, you're like, these are the sheets we really want, or whatever, someone gets you like the okay gift, you could return it, take the cash and get it. Because I think it's the thought, it's not necessarily that. Because like we did that. So you do you. But
Sorry, I just had an epiphany of if someone listened to the first podcast episode and then fast forwarded to this one, like what happened to us?
That's right.
You know?
you didn't talk about sheets for the first one?
No, I'm pretty sure we were laying on a couch eating apples with our bellies out.
Was that in our first apartment? When did you guys start this podcast?
At the last house. Okay. But
we've come a long way.
Yeah.
I think we were talking, like TBN was on in the background, and we were talking about the ridiculousness of TBN.
Yeah.
That's actually a good segue. I wanted to talk about the little brother effect and how it has impacted your marriage.
I'm a little brother.
With Donnie being a little brother, we found that he just loves being a little brother. And so me, now going to be his wife, I do not get to be the role of the older sister in this, so he can't pick on me and annoy me. He can. He shouldn't. He's a little brother, so he really likes to be little brothery and annoying. And so it's just like little things, like, why are you pulling on my earlobe? It's just to annoy me. It's just because you know it'll make me mad. And it's a little brother thing. We've come to the conclusion that it's because that's just how he was with his sister. And now he spends most of his time with me. And it's kind of carried over. And I know Jordan's a little brother.
Yesterday I rolled up a piece of her hair and poked it into her ear.
Yep.
Do I do stuff like that?
You do different kinds of things.
Ooh, what sort of stuff?
I'm trying to think.
Tell us how to manage.
Oh, I don't know.
Is it physical abuse?
No, it's just like, I think
Bit me the other day.
I did, yeah.
She left marks.
Hey. My mom had to bite my little sister back to get her to stop biting, so.
Trying to think about it. I don't know. I think like you do things really subtly, and so I'm trying to even think of them. They all just like build up, like, and then they culminate, and then I'm like, I am going to lose it right now. I'm going to Target.
I think what it might be is I am more of just like a broadsword slash, and he's more like tiny little paper cuts till it just becomes
pretty much. Yep.
But also, I think there's a little bit of a difference because of, like, there's two of your, like you and your sister, and there's four kids in my family.
So you're also,
and so I was a little brother, but I was also an older brother,
right?
And like also a middle child, and so like there's that dynamic too that makes
so
it probably different. Issues.
Just kidding, but like stereotypically, like each of those comes with their own stereotype.
Yeah.
Sorry, back to you.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those reoccurring arguments that we have, and I think that I've gotten a lot better from the beginning of the relationship. I know that I've gotten a lot better. You have to give me that.
So do you mess with her because she's your friend, or do you mess with her because she's your fiance? Because obviously she's both of those,
right?
But like, which are you viewing her as when you're messing with her?
Both of those things, I think.
I don't think he thinks about it that deeply.
I really don't.
I think that
I just
like
do it.
It just comes
Sometimes
naturally.
I don't even realize I'm doing things.
Yeah.
Like I could sit there, and this is probably just a me thing because I'll do it when I'm by myself too. But I'll just find a noise that I really like that resonates well in my head, like wow, 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 and I could do that for 15 minutes. Just sit there and do that.
No, I do that to you.
Do that to me.
I do that to you though. Well, I am I'm a little sister actually.
Nice.
So sometimes we're in the car and I like to see how long it takes for him to get upset. I mean, not like actually upset because Jordyn just doesn't really get mad, but like just for him to like notice, like to verbally like be annoyed. Because I feel like with his personality type, like he goes out of his way to like not show like his frustration or his annoyance or anything because he doesn't want to give anyone the satisfaction. And so I like to break him.
My thing is, as long as she's not like legit mad, like there's a playful mad and there's a legit mad. Her playful mad is ridiculously cute, so I like to bring that out.
Emily's eyes got really big, like, nope.
he just loves, but that's the problem, is my playful mad, it's not a playful mad. It's like the mad that happens before I get real mad. And that is my like warning of like, hey, you're about to make me really mad. But he doesn't take me seriously because he's like, oh, it's so cute. Like, this is my warning to you.
More mad when I say that. Because in the moment I'll be like, you're so cute. And then I'm sure that doesn't help to de-escalate anything.
It'll be really interesting, like when you live together full time.
Yeah.
That's what I was
to see how that
thinking.
plays out.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about this today because I remember everyone told us, like, you know, the things that, and I wouldn't say that's an issue because I mean, that's not my relationship, but like, they'll say like the things that are an issue, like when you're dating or when you're engaged, like you feel like will blow over or like they'll resolve, but they just amplify so much more. And like, I remember like people would give us so much advice. So like, I don't want to give that to you guys because like, you know, you don't want to give that unless people are actually looking for it. But like, I remember people telling us that and like just me mentally brushing it off. And then we got married. It's like, yep, okay, we got to deal with this literally right now. Like, let's have a conversation.
As long as it's that, I think that I am good at trying to better myself. And I am not afraid to walk up to those moments and like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let's work through it. So it's just going to have to be like a conscious effort. On my part, on both of our parts on some things, but on my part, just to not be annoying.
He's really
I'm just gonna have
good.
to walk out of the house.
Yeah, he's really good at the big things. Of like, we need to address this. It's the small things that he's not as good at. Like, we have this recurring thing where I'll have my hair in a ponytail or in a bun, and we'll like sit down to watch TV, and he has to be like twirling a piece of my hair. So he'll choose a piece right in the middle of my head, yank it out of my ponytail, and play with it up here. And then I have to take the ponytail out and redo. And so I've told him probably 25 times, don't pull my hair out of my ponytail. And
I've gotten better at it slowly.
it has taken a long time.
But that's like one of those things where it's like an aesthetic thing for me. Like if we're watching TV, I just need to have that to do with my hands, you know? I don't know why. I might have OCD a little bit in that way.
If we ever get divorced,
I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to grow my hair
that's
back.
why. It's because he yanked the
back
hair.
up to my shoulders.
It's because he yanked the hair out of my ponytail.
That was the final straw.
So how's marriage or premarital counseling coming?
Really great, actually. It's a blast.
Yeah, it is really great.
It's not a blast, but we're doing it with somebody from our church that you guys did it with.
He's phenomenal.
Rod, and he's amazing because he does stuff like that for a living. You can really tell like he's very good at doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should say this on the podcast or not, but we had beers. Like he had a beer and I walked in and I was like, Rod, what is this? Because I've only ever interacted with him in a church setting.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you want one?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I had a beer during our marriage counseling.
I think it's one of those things where like the actual like what we're talking about isn't necessarily like fun, like it's work. But I think because we are a couple that like naturally we like to have deep conversations, it is a fun process, even though the things that we're talking about aren't always fun.
Yeah. I do enjoy talking about and like really dissecting that sort of stuff. So for me, I think it's more, the whole process for me is more fun than it is for you.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy doing stuff like that and working on problems. And something that we're only in chapter 3 or 4 so far in the workbook.
Cheerios, yeah.
No, not the Cheerios, yeah. Rod, if you're listening, we still remember the Cheerios. And it was beneficial, and we agree.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But, like, we were doing, like, chapter 3 or 4, and we're like, do people just not talk? Because they're like, this might be, like, a new thing that you haven't addressed yet. And it's like, this is something we talked about within, like, the first month of dating. So I think maybe we're just, I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
I think it's personality types, because we were probably the same way where, like, I remember a lot of times when we were dating, like when we were, for instance, we sat in my truck one night in the Bueller's parking lot and talked for probably 3 hours about like future stuff and whatnot. And so like we kind of like there was a lot of instances of that, but I think what was nice is it was a little more directed, like in the marital counseling setting. So like things that we didn't think, and also having Rod there who can ask right questions to open up other things that you don't think about. Like, oh yeah, I never thought about that.
And I think it's the premarital counseling stuff that you do too. Like, and every couple's different. Like, I agree. Like, sometimes conversations will come up naturally, but I think a lot of times it doesn't because maybe the other person's uncomfortable asking or whatever. And Jordyn I think we've been together like a year or so, and we were going on a day trip together somewhere. So we were going to be in the car for a long time. And so Jordyn had ordered the book, and it was like, I think 101 questions to ask before you get engaged. And we went through that, and it was literally so helpful. And I think that was actually very huge for us because there's a lot of conversations that wouldn't have come up in my, like, honestly, just naturally. And so, or maybe you would have felt uncomfortable bringing it up, but there's something that you needed to address or whatever the case may be. And you know, I agree that I think it was like the actual premarital counseling was even more beneficial, but that helped foster and start those conversations that we felt like we could have privately. And like, we knew where each other was at. And like, that was even before getting engaged. Cause I think, once again, every couple's different, but there's some things that like you might not want to get engaged before you discuss because it very well could be a deal breaker, like for any other couples out there. And so I think we went through a lot of the kind of deal breaker stuff, but also just like personal stuff that like we needed to share or kind of just know where each other was at. And it was just really nice because, going into those conversations with Rod, like we'd already gone over some of it, but I think, Rod was able to dive deeper as well as be like, okay, like, so this, you know, based off of this XYZ fact is probably like, it could be a problem area. Exactly. And let's walk through and discuss it. Right. And so I think it was more so just talking it out as opposed to like, how do you feel about this? You know? And so that was just really nice.
That's cool. Cause we did the same thing. We did a book called 131 Questions to Ask Before Marriage.
Oh boy. We did more questions.
We did more questions.
We did like 30 more questions. So we knew each other so much.
Yeah.
Well, some of them were pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Like, what's your favorite color? How tall are you?
I genuinely don't even remember what the questions were in our book. So it could have been the same.
I couldn't tell you one except what's your favorite color? Because I think that was like the very first question.
Icebreakers.
Right.
Yeah. Warm up to the bigger ones.
Right. But yeah, so far I've been liking it. Marriage counseling. It's been pretty good.
So for any podcast listeners looking to get engaged, we will personally endorse both books if you want to check out either.
Yeah.
If you're in a relatively serious relationship, it might be worth at least looking into.
And I would definitely recommend doing it because it baffles my mind that people would go into
kidding.
Like the questions that are being asked in the workbook, like it baffles my mind that people would go into a relationship approaching marriage and not have asked those questions before.
Yeah. Or like even little things that you wouldn't think about until you're married, like finance is a big one. Like, how are we going to do that? Are we going to do combined finances? Like, are we going to do separate like, what's your expectations of savings? Like, because that was different for us. Like, you're a saver, I'm a spender. And it wasn't really until probably the last year or so that I feel like we've really gotten on the same page of that. But some people just, they like each other. Let's get married. Whoa. I don't know. That just blows my mind.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it made our first year so much easier.
I would agree, because it's like, okay, I know, he has a tendency to do this, or I have a tendency to respond this way. Like, I know you guys did it as well, but Rod had us take the DISC assessment. Totally awesome. Worth the money, by the way.
Yeah.
The DISC assessment, if you don't know, it's like a personality test. You can either be a D, an I, a C, or an S. D is like dominant, like type A. I is more extrovertive. C is like you need comfort, and S is security. I think is what.
And I like also could be like influential along with extrovert. Yeah. And typically you're a combination of all three, but you have like a stronger suit. So if you're into personality tests or anything like that, it can be beneficial. But they can even show like what you would be like in the workplace or like in your personal life. Like it's super good to know. Yeah. But anyway, we went through that, and I think just even seeing like, okay, like I have a tendency to just like change. And I mean, it's some stuff that like I knew about myself, but like I do not like to admit. And so when it's in black and white, and I can either say like on a piece of paper, like, yes, this is something that is true for me, or no, this isn't something that is true for me. And I think there's good and bad things about every single type of personality. And so I think it's just honestly like helping you confront your flaws, as well as know, like, maybe Jordyn has a more passive personality type. And so, when it comes to big things, like he might not have like a big applauding, like, yes, that sounds great, that's what I want to do, or, whatever the case may be, because that is naturally who he is. Like, it's not that he's choosing not to respond in an elaborate fashion, which is my personal preference and how I typically respond to things. Like, I'm very much yes either way, or, a hard no. So I think it's like, it was just beneficial to know, like this is their baseline. This is personally like who they are. And, they'll have a tendency to go either way on different things. And obviously there will be some discrepancies, because not every person is going to fit in a specific box, but it was really great. So, yeah.
It was nice seeing too, like what hers are and what mine are, and how they interact and how they mesh and how they clash. Because I feel like that's something that's super important. And our marriage counselor kind of encouraged us to like be aware of it and be thinking about it. And when things come up, be thinking about how that affects the DISC and what you need to do in those situations. So I've been trying to think more analytically in scenarios and be like, okay, what do I need to do here? What could I have done different in this past scenario? And that sort of stuff I just really geek out on. I like it.
And like along with that, like what is most important to this personality type? Like with mine, I'm a high S, and so it's like security and stability and safety, and like I wanted to start a 401k when I was 19. Yeah, like because that is something that is very important to me. And so just like stuff like that, like I really crave that. And so when in any given situation, like that's probably what's going to be most important to me is like, well, and even when talking about like job change with Jordyn, it's like looking at like this is always like where my baseline is, whether or not I acknowledge it or not. Like this is at the end of the day what's important to me. So if I'm freaking out, it's not necessarily the fact that you're switching jobs. It's that like all of a sudden I don't know what the future will look like anymore, or I don't feel stable anymore, and all of that. So that was just, I think, stuff to walk through, and even just like think about. Or he can anticipate that I'm going to flip out about something, and he's going to have to talk me off the ledge. So
I've noticed that in you, Emily, because when we first started dating, she was very much like, I need to know what the future is, and I need to know how to plan for it so I can make a list and cross those things off my list. And she's gotten better, especially over her internship. I think she matured a lot in that way of realizing I cannot plan for the future, and there's some things that I'm just going to have to roll with and take it as it comes. And I think you've gotten a lot better at just kind of handling life as it comes.
Yeah, I think that partially it's because I've never had to do that before. Like, if I can ask someone something and they can give me an answer, I'm going to ask them as soon as possible so I can have the answer as soon as possible. Like, things that happen in life, like what kind of job am I going to have and where are we going to live? Like, I can't just ask someone and they'll tell me. Like, I don't have any control over that at all. So I'm still very, like, I've planned probably 80% of our wedding already, and it's 6 months away because I am able to do it. I can cross things off the list. I can get things on my calendar. And I have control over that. So I'm going to do it sooner rather than later. But like where we're going to live, I don't have any control over what that is at this point. So, I mean, I can't physically worry about that because it would drive me crazy.
Yeah. And that's what I've just noticed is like the life stuff that you can't control. You've gotten better at handling that non-control.
Do you think that you've gotten better, Donnie, at like, at least thinking through, like with stuff that isn't within your guys' control, like thinking through a plan, knowing that Emily's going to want to know that,
right.
Or like what your thoughts are
I would
on
like
stuff
to say that I have
control.
because I used to just be so like shoot from the hip and just whatever. And I still really am on a lot of stuff. Like I'm not a planner at all, but I've made like some small baby steps. And I think just in general with like a wedding and engagement, I've become more future thinking than I have been in the past. I find myself thinking about the future and like plotting things, I guess. Not in a malicious way. It's just planning stuff more than I have ever before.
And I wouldn't say that he's a planner, but he's planner compliant. So like he
I'll
doesn't
roll with her.
Yeah, he won't plan things, but I will call him in the middle of the day and be like, so what are the plans for tonight? And I can't wait until he's done with work to say, what are we doing right now? I have to call him in the middle of the day and be like, what are the plans for this evening? Because I need to know right now. And he answers the phone and he tells me and we hang up and I'm great and it's fine. So he's really good about giving me the information when I ask for it, even though he doesn't actually plan things himself.
Yeah.
How much of the time in those specific instances are you just making up on the spot?
Every time. Every single time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been going back to like the beginning of this conversation when you guys were talking about like discovering more of the metro parks and stuff that are around here. I've been trying to be, I think we both have actually, but trying to be more eventful, I guess, with life because it's gotten to the point where like I'll work and then I'll go over to her house and we'll watch The Good Place. We finish Brooklyn Nine-Nine and we'll eat some supper and then I'll leave and go to bed. So a lot of the times, like if I've worked all day, that's all I want to do is just chill. But I want to be more like, okay, let's do something and make an evening of it. But I just don't know what to do because everything seems like I don't want to spend a ton of money and I don't want to do something like super exhaustive because I'm already kind of tired.
Right.
So we're just trying to find those things that we can do other than Netflix.
Which is pretty much what ended up happening with us. So it's been nice. Because, I mean, granted, I don't think this actually would play into my personality type at all. But, like, as a normal person, like, I thoroughly enjoy, like, doing things and going places. And yeah, like I am super, I don't want to say cheap. I'm going to use the word frugal. I'm pretty cheap.
I use frugal for her. She picked up a crusty,
it was a nickel.
sticky nickel off the ground.
It was
the other
a
day.
normal ground nickel.
It was under a bench,
your
all
typical
sticky,
ground
covered in
nickel.
Gross ice cream.
It was not. That is a large exaggeration. It was a normal ground nickel.
But you should have seen how excited she was.
But yeah, so like, you know, if I can save a nickel, I'm going to save a nickel or, you know, get a nickel. But yeah, so like it's been really nice. And like I think we've been making, whether or not we've discussed it or not, we've been making more of an effort to, like you guys have, you know, been literally exercising, but like getting outside and just enjoying it because like I feel like we both actually really enjoy like being outside and being like in nature. But we really enjoy that. And so it's been nice that that's a nice avenue. And like, I really love walking. And so we can like go on walks and, you know, there's different terrain and for him, like lots of different, like places to photograph. And Emily, I think, just made 21 cents.
This is 11 cents.
Is that a nickel? Okay, it looks like a dime from here. She made 11.
I found another ground nickel.
Yeah, welcome to the room where Jordyn changes, where all of the change falls.
Just flies out of the pockets.
It does.
I hate that.
He's just too rich.
He's just too
Got
rich.
too much money.
Literally just dropping money everywhere.
So, to totally change subjects here,
Bring it on.
I think I've mentioned on the podcast how I've been subtly wearing down Allie about getting a dog, you know?
By subtly wearing down, he means sending me pictures of different dogs every day for 2.5 years. So if you want to encourage your spouse or significant other to do something, you should just send them that for 2.5 years. Unless something weird that they're probably never going to do, in which case just give up. But this is something he knew, like, I'm a softie with like sweet little things like animals.
So,
Okay, clean animals.
You should have Pavlov's dogged her, where like you give her a treat and then be like, dog. Dog.
I don't
puppy."
think that would have gone over well. No. Here's a treat, dog.
right. Right. So, I've been wearing her down because I want a dog so bad. To the point that I'm willing to settle for a smaller dog. Even at this point, I'm settling, and I will tell you that. But it got to the point a couple weeks ago. She was like, "If you want, we could ask our landlords, you know, if having a pet would be an option." I think she told me that because she figured they would shut me down.
Okay, and also what spurred this on is my sister. They recently rescued 2 different dogs, and the most recent one is a mini schnauzer. His name is Finn.
Super cute.
He is so cute and like friendly. I mean, he's still a puppy. I mean, he's going through the biting stage and stuff. So there are times when it's like, but like he is so cute and he's just like sweet. So that was a large part of it, actually.
So I asked our landlords, and they said, yes, we think that would be great.
That was not the one.
Yeah. And
You guys are going to be parents?
so, yeah, we'll be parents at some point. And
The first baby announcement. Yay!
and so we've
Clickbait
been
it.
I know. I was thinking that they would do that as the.
So we are searching currently. And anyway, I bring all this up
We're
because
looking for a rescue, though. By the
yeah,
way.
we're probably gonna rescue.
So, like,
Rescue
props
baby.
if you like have a puppy mill, but we don't want your puppies because we ain't about
unless
that.
we're rescuing them from a puppy mill.
Okay, that would be different.
You like
Anyway,
break in and steal them from the
mill.
puppy mill?
A lot of like backyard breeders. They're just really bad conditions that they just
Yeah, like it's
constantly
just like
breed
it's
their
not
dogs.
like a really great.
Oh, I thought of like a paper mill, but with puppies.
Oh gosh, no.
But anyway,
Sorry.
so we're gonna be needing because like whatever dog we get, we're gonna change the name probably. And,
Well, unless it's like older, in which case that's not fair.
I mean, they'll pick it up.
It just seems mean. Like when you're like 5, it'd be like if you have a child and they were 5 and you're like, oh yeah, you're gonna go by like Matthew now, even though your name was
I don't
John.
think that dogs hear
No, I know.
like Matthew. I think they just hear like the
phrase.
wow.
That's true. Okay,
Like,
so
they
as
hear,
long
like,
as it like it
wah,
has
wah,
similar
wah.
like what is
Well,
the
anyway,
intonation?
syllable?
Is that the name? Yeah, I
Syllables.
guess. That would-
Anyway, guys,
Back to the dog.
I feel like this would be a good like Twitter topic to
a
get
Twitter
our
poll?
Yeah. If it's a female or male will obviously depend, but for males, I think so far, what was the top one that we were going to do?
For names?
Yeah.
Well, before that,
Dwight.
what type of dogs are you looking at?
A hypoallergenic kind.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yes. That way you'd be good.
Is that just for me?
No.
Special consideration.
Probably wasn't even in consideration. Sorry.
Fine.
I mean, yes, Donnie. It was
so-
all for you.
Thanks.
So it will depend also like on what it looks like, but Ron is one.
Oh, nice. Ron Swanson?
Yes.
Nice.
He'd have to be
Dwight.
a schnauzer. with-
Dwight was the top list. So for males, Ron, Dwight,
Probably Dan.
Kevin, and Stanley.
Kevin would be so cute.
Jordyn, actually, in case you're wondering, is just adding on names that I haven't really agreed to right now.
We talked about this last night. I'm not like saying this is what it's going to be. See, my ideal would be like having a cast of dogs all named after different like Office and Parks and Rec characters.
Then you could do a little video,
Right, exactly.
Have like the dogs be in place.
You could have an Instagram page.
Oh yeah.
And I would spend most of my time doing that.
Would you consider Cheddar?
We thought about
Brooklyn
Cheddar.
No,
Nine-Nine.
actually, Cheddar was the top contender, but it depends on the type of dog. Like, it has to suit its looks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love people names for dogs.
Okay.
And so for females, I think really for me, I only am considering one. And it was actually your sister's idea. It was Phyllis.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious. Phyllis the cat.
Or Pam.
Pam is also a contender.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Anything that's on our baby names list, I did not allow on this list. But
Like,
That's fair.
I just picture myself yelling out the back, Phyllis! Phyllis! Phyllis!
Get in here. Phyllis, quit peeing on that.
So, listeners, tweet at us what you think
Dog names.
our dog name should be for our first-time parents.
Man.
First time dog parents.
Same thing.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's going to be one of those things where you're going to look at the dog and you're just going to be like, this is what the name has to
I'm
be.
thinking that's probably the way it's going to go for us.
But I don't like the like cutesy names. I like the funny, ironic names.
When you said Ron Swanson, I have been, for like the past probably month, wanting either a duck or a swan as a pet.
What?
I haven't told
I have
anybody.
not heard about
I knew you would
this.
shoot it down, so I just didn't tell you. But and then it was really solidified. We went to the Barn restaurant, and they have a pond with just ducks that just walk right up to you.
Yeah.
And they're just like whack, 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 and they get their little platy little feet. And I
Are
was
you
like,
talking about the goose?
there's ducks and geese.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean geese. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, back to the
But I really want a swan and name it Ron.
I'm
'Cause
pretty
then it'd be
sure
Ron
swans
Swan.
are pretty vicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very
Like
aggressive.
95% sure.
They're pretty mean.
I mean, you do
didn't know
you,
that.
but I'd rather not see you die this year. So.
I would like a duck.
Duck would be cool. I want a mini farm, to be honest.
Okay.
Like
So,
he wants to like raise the animals.
some ducks and chickens maybe, and then some goats.
And like just a few like beef cattle.
Okay. Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I also, there's, what's it called? Micro farming that I want to look at getting into.
Tiny animals.
It just kind of sounded.
No, it's a girl she works with. Her husband is into micro farming. What's he?
Garlic.
Garlic. And apparently it doesn't take up much space, but like he has this whole business model with his friend where like they're going to grow each year because it sustains itself. And yeah. So,
Something maybe within the next 5 years you could do that with is marijuana
yeah.
in Ohio. Yeah. I'm just saying it's going to be lucrative. If you could,
True.
you could get it going.
I don't really want to grow pot.
You don't have to smoke it.
Yeah.
I still don't
Harvest the
wanna grow
oils.
pot.
Yeah, those CBD oils. Take out the psychoactive part.
It's not even that. I just don't really want to grow pot.
I think that's fair, to be honest.
You can grow pot. I don't have a problem with that.
What about
I'm
heroin?
sorry.
How hard is it to
marijuana.
grow
I guess
heroin?
it's all-
It can't be that hard.
Poppies.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for the record, in case
We're
the
in
server
debt.
is submitted as part of an investigation, we will not be growing any legal or illegal drugs.
Okay. Fair.
I'm just going to take that off the table right now.
Dang, that hour flew by.
It did. It's a lot easier having more than just me and Donnie talking.
Yeah. I will say, before we wrap up, I want to veer topics again, and then we'll wrap up. But I had this idea yesterday, and I wrote it down. So this is going to be between you and I, and then you guys can chime in since you're here for this upcoming week. But it's going to be a weekly challenge where every week we challenge each other to do something during the week that's a little bit outside of our comfort zone, or maybe it's something that we need to work on, just like who we are as a person sort of thing. And then we talk about it on the following podcast. So for this
They can't
week-
be in this.
They can't be in this.
You said we could chime in about how to make you
could-
better people.
You could give us topics for this week, but since you guys probably won't be guests next week, we can't challenge you guys.
We're guests
But
every day
I
of
was
your
going to
life.
say, I felt like
You guys can start your own podcast in
Yeah.
the beginning of our podcast network.
I
my
think
wife
Emily and I
and I
have thrown out
Totally
many
do.
a name.
Yeah.
We're just looking for someone else to do it.
So the challenge, I wanted this week to challenge you, and you guys can obviously chime in, but Pudge is horrible on the phone.
Yeah.
Texting him is a nightmare when you're trying to get information from him. I texted you at like 8 a.m. yesterday saying, hey, are you able to podcast? And you didn't get back to me till 10:30 p.m.
At night.
So it was 11:40 something. So I was at work, and this is what happens. I see it. I'm like, oh, yeah. And I put it back in my pocket, and then it just is out of my head because I'm doing something at work.
Okay. And then you texted me back at 10:30.
I did.
I texted you back literally within
11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m.
Yes. And then I texted you back at 10:30, literally a minute after you texted me, and did not hear back from you for another hour and a half.
Did you?
Yes.
And well, yeah. I mean, we did have Corey and Mandy over.
Yeah, but you saw the phone.
I did.
I texted you literally a minute. You were probably still looking at your phone. And then forget even trying to have a phone conversation with you.
Like on the phone?
Yeah. Like you called me to ask me what kind of antacid I use. And that was maybe one of 4 phone conversations I've had with you over the course of our friendship.
Yeah.
He does really dislike talking on the phone.
I do.
So my challenge to you this week is to this week call somebody, a friend or a relative, and talk to them for longer than 10 minutes on the phone. Just check in.
Ooh, that's
what
a
I
good
want you
challenge.
to do.
That is also good. I would agree. That's a good challenge.
Now's the fun part. You get to pick something about his personality.
I was gonna say, I don't have, I didn't know this was coming.
Yeah, I should have maybe let you know. But you have some help here. You have 2 other people to help you out. One that okay, I get 1 veto. Since Emily's here, I get a veto.
Sorry, I just got a text. I need to respond to this right away.
Well, not now. Podcasting.
See? I'm in the middle of something.
All right. Something to improve
Yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah. It like mental health wise or just like personality wise, something to get better. It has to be
Ooh,
kind of
I've got a
challenging.
good one.
Outside of the comfort zone.
I don't know how realistic it is, but turn off your email notifications
I can't do that.
after work hours.
After work hours, I could do that.
Set some boundaries, man.
Yeah. I've been getting better at that, but I still sometimes it'll be like 11 o'clock at night and I'll get an email and I'll have to respond to it. So,
Or even if it's not a work email, he'll get an email and have to see what it is immediately because he thinks it's work.
it might be an emergency.
Coming to my email.
Email emergency.
Yeah, like actually legitimately 99% of my communication is done via email since I work remote.
The
So,
emergencies are
I've gotten
communicated via
emergency emails before, yeah.
So what exactly does an emergency email look like?
Something like I screwed up and did something wrong and they need files resent or like
That has to be done in the next 4 minutes?
no, I mean if it's 11 o'clock at night I'll be doing it the next morning. But here's my problem is if I see that it's a problem, I won't sleep that
So don't
night.
look at it.
That's what I was
But I
kinda
have to
thinking.
know what it is or else I won't sleep.
Okay, so then, as Emily said, you should just turn off your email notifications.
5 p.m., 6 p.m., turn off the email notifications and don't look at it until 7:30 or 8 the next morning.
I can do that.
1 week. Let's see.
Challenge.
Okay. So we have to be honest and I'm going to call you on it.
Okay. You can call me and we'll talk about it.
No, I can't be that person.
Yeah,
You're not getting out of it that
Donnie
easy.
and I don't count.
You have to call somebody else. Can't be your dad or your mom or your sister or your brother.
So immediate
Or your other
family
sister.
and Donnie and I are out.
Yeah. Emily's out as well.
What would we talk about for
up,
more
Emily?
than 10 minutes? You would say, hey, Emily, is Donnie there?
It has to be somebody outside of your immediate circle of friends and family.
So cold call.
Not a cold call.
Could he call his grandpa?
It could be somebody.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to remove
Call
the.
your grandpa.
Yeah, call your grandpa. It could be the
If he
friend.
talks on the phone much, but
It could
Can't
be.
hear enough to talk about.
What?
so maybe you're removing your
Grandpa!
It could be somebody like Chap that you haven't talked to in a while. A friend you haven't talked to in a while.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
But just call, talk for 10 minutes. I'll shut off email notifications when I get done working for the day. And we're going to make ourselves better persons. people. Better persons. I'm going to stick by that. But I already changed. We're going to talk about this more because we've had multiple people ask us just about mental health in general to talk about it more.
Yeah.
So I want to do that in another episode since we don't really have time now. But something I did is I changed the sound that my email makes. It was the same as a text for a while, and it's the Android kind of aggressive, like wah, wah, sort of thing. But I changed it to a more lighter, happier sound. And I've noticed legitimately every time I used to get an email, I'd be like, oh no, what's wrong? Something's wrong. What is this? It would set off like a mild panic inside myself. But now I hear that and it's like just a neutral feeling. I don't get panicked anymore every time I hear my email notification go off. So just little things like that really, really help. And that's all I have to say about that. Wrap it up. Okay. Well, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Allie, for joining us on the podcast this week.
Thank you for letting us be on the podcast.
Appreciate the invite, even though, as Emily said, we are guests in your life every day.
Yeah. And also, it wasn't an invite because I said, hey, Allie and I should be on the podcast tomorrow. And he was like, oh, maybe. I'll ask Jordyn.
I'll ask Bud and see if he wants to do it.
So, technically not an invite.
Thanks,
but
Emily, for making us a part of the podcast.
You're really welcome.
Emily
I got
and
your back.
should have our own podcast, though. So, actually, if you guys want to vote on that,
tweet at Jordyn and Donnie if you want Allie and I to have our own podcast.
we might do it like maybe once a month or
Actually,
once
that's
every
fine.
2 months.
Yeah.
But we might do it. We'll see.
Maybe it won't even be a regular schedule. Maybe it'll just be little nuggets that pop up here and there.
Sporadic podcasts are the
I'd be
best
fine with that.
podcasts.
Podcast network.
Dude. I'm
down.
going off the rails with ideas. I'm sweating a lot. Got sweaty pits.
I got sweaty pits too.
I'm sweating
so
so
hot.
much.
I don't stink, though. That's the thing. Did we talk about that on air?
No.
How I don't stink?
I don't remember.
I hardly ever wear deodorant. Fun fact, and I don't stink. I'm not a stinky person.
Most of the time, he
Sometimes
doesn't
I'll
stink.
get a funk going, but most of the time, I just don't stink. Chalk it up to genetics. My dad gave me bad knees, but good pits.
Non-Italian.
I got it from my daddy.
my just Anglo-European genetics. That's not as fun. My Italian genetics.
Oh, I'm getting a phone call.
From who?
I don't know.
Speakerphone.
419.
Speakerphone. 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 Speaker.
I'm trying to think. It might actually be an important one, so I better not.
Oh, okay. All right.
Boo.
Yeah.
All
Sorry.
right.
Anywho,
Do you guys want to play kazoos as we both wrap up?
you can use
You'll use my kazoo,
Yeah,
Emily.
this is mine.
I'm down.
Kiss me. There's no spit.
It's all dried up by now.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks since
That
we
might actually
podcasted.
be worse. I really don't know. I don't know how to play kazoo, actually.
You hum into it. The legs are in. Hum. Like hum a tune.
No. Okay, Emily will play.
You can do it.
It'll take me too long.
You can do it. You can do it.
Try it.
You gotta.
Just go.
No, you gotta.
I don't understand.
Don't put your finger there.
I don't know what you're asking.
Try. Do it harder.
Oh, you're getting there. You're almost there.
Okay, so back to Emily and the rapper.
We've reached an impasse with the kazoo.
I know.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, Allie, for joining us on the podcast. It's been a lot of fun. We'll go line for line.
Line for line.
Yeah.
You can find us on iTunes. Just search You're My Friend, I Trust You. You can hear us on Back Row Radio on
Fridays on Back Row Radio. You can also find us on Twitter at My Friend Podcast on Twitter. And we also now have a Facebook and Instagram. I don't know what our Facebook is.
Just search You're My Friend and I Trust You on Facebook.
Nice. You're My Friend and I Trust You on Facebook, Instagram. Oop. Hang on.
So hot in here.
It is so hot in here. And now we're live streaming. We're live streaming the end, as we always do.
Send us an email at itrustyoupodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what the dog name should be
Yes, what name should Pudge and Allie name their soon-to-be dog?
It doesn't have to be one that we suggested already, but it would be cool.
Yeah. And our Instagram is @myfriendpodcast at insta.com. Or do we say our email? I trust you podcast@gmail.com. Okay. Write us in to either one of those things. Follow us on all those things. Like, share, subscribe if you can. You're live on Instagram is what's happening here. But thank you so much for listening to the You're My Friend and I Trust You podcast. We hope you'd enjoyed your time with us here today. We love you. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Wow.